Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Andy, or Caps Coverage, and the Washington Capitals have brought back Jake the Snake. The Capitals have signed Jakub Vrana to a professional tryout contract for the 2024 preseason and training camp. So first things first, a professional tryout is not an NHL contract. Basically, what this means is that the Capitals are giving Vrana a chance to practice with their team for training camp and play with them in the preseason. And if they like his performance, then they have the option to give him an NHL deal. But that's something that still needs to fit within the salary cap. He is not currently counting against their cap, but he is not eligible to play on the team after the preseason unless they sign him to an NHL level deal. So, Jakub Vrana, a very familiar name to many Capitals fans, taken by Washington with the 13th overall pick in the 2014 NHL draft. He had a nice little career for the Capitals, spent some time in Hershey, played 3 seasons down there, was very productive, got his first NHL call-up in the 2016-17 season, first-time full-time NHLer in 2017-18, where he won a Stanley Cup with the Washington Capitals, scoring 27 points in 73 regular season games, and then having 8 points in 23 playoff games. Ultimately, he finished out his time in D.C. with 284 regular season games played with 157 points, and then we hit the 2020-21 season. So there, Vrana was playing under head coach Peter Laviolette, and as many Capitals fans probably recall from Laviolette's tenure as head coach, younger players had a very hard time cracking the lineup. Laviolette wanted to really get the best out of his veterans to make this a playoff caliber team, and Vrana didn't quite fit the equation for what he was looking for in the lineup. So the Capitals decided that it was time for both sides to move on. And he was the big piece, arguably, in the trade that brought Anthony Mantha to Washington. There was also a first-round pick involved, but there's some arguments about whether or not that was for Mantha or for the Detroit Red Wings to swallow Richard Panik's contract. But either way, his time in D.C. was done. He was sent to the Detroit Red Wings. And then in Detroit, his production fell off a little bit. He split time between the NHL and the AHL in 2022-23. And then that's when it was revealed that he was having some issues off the ice and Vrana was checking into players' assistants. He spent time in the players' assistance program, bounced back and forth between there and playing, bounced back and forth between the NHL and AHL. Then he became a cap dump for the Red Wings, getting traded to the St. Louis Blues at the 2023 trade deadline. Played in parts of 2 seasons for St. Louis. Played in 41 total games for the Blues and had a total of 20 points across those 41 games, and spent the majority of last year with their AHL affiliate, the Springfield Thunderbirds, where he had 36 points in 42 games. So what does this signing mean? Well, personally, I don't think that Vrana will ultimately make the team. If you're looking at this forward core, kind of the only places that are up for grabs are bottom 6 wings, and throughout his time in DC, it was very clear that Vrana excelled much better in a top 6 role, a guy who struggles a little bit defensively but has a killer shot, good person to play on the wing in the top 6 and then give power play minutes to. But if the Capitals have this top 6 where you've got your solidified first line of Ovechkin, Strome, and Wilson, and then a second line where you've got to put Dubois down the middle. You made that big trade to get Mangiapane, so you've got to think that they want him in a top 6 role. And then Connor McMichael and Hendrix Lapierre fighting it out for that other slot on the wing in the top 6. I would think the Capitals would want to give one of them a true shot at getting top 6 minutes to continue the development of those 2 players. So I don't think that Vrana ultimately gets a contract, but let's not shut the door entirely. This is a guy who had a lot of promise. After all, he was taken 13th overall at one point. He had a really good career in Washington, and things did not fall off the rails until he left Washington. Maybe being back with a familiar organization, he has a really good preseason. Capitals sign him to a league minimum deal. Start him as a healthy scratch. If he performs well in practices, he can earn minutes in the top 6. But at the end of the day, I think that this is probably just a move for Vrana personally to get his footing back in the NHL, play some nice preseason games, maybe attract the attention of some other general managers, and I don't think he'll ultimately end up becoming a Washington Capital for the 2024-25 season. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think that Vrana will end up getting signed after the preseason? Do you think that he'll get signed to be a healthy scratch, or do you think that the Capitals will sign him to be an everyday player, or do you agree with me that this is just kind of a way for Vrana to get some skating time and play some games without having to commit to an NHL deal? Please like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you are new, and I hope to catch you in the next one.